Okay, let's get right into it. On December 18, 2025, the president dropped a bombshell announcement about cannabis policy, and honestly, it's left a lot of people scratching their heads. So, what does this historic order actually do? Today, we're going to cut through all the noise and explain what this really means for the country, and especially for the world of CBD.
Now, to really get why this is such a massive deal, you have to understand that this order is kicking off a process to change a federal drug law that has been set in stone for over 50 years. Seriously, this is not some small tweak, it's a fundamental shift in how the US government views cannabis, period.
So, what exactly happened? Well, the president signed an executive order. This is a big move because it basically bypasses Congress, at least for now, and sets the wheels in motion for what pretty much everyone is calling the most significant federal cannabis policy change in generations.
And look, that is not an exaggeration. For decades, the federal government's stance on marijuana has been incredibly rigid, just a hard no. This executive order, it signals a major departure from that long-standing position, and the implications are absolutely huge.
All right, so the real core of this order is all about reclassifying marijuana under the Controlled Substances Act. It's a proposed move from what's known as Schedule 1 all the way down to Schedule 3. So what in the world is the actual difference? Let's break it down. This change is a total redefinition. For 50 years, marijuana has been stuck in Schedule 1, which means the federal government has officially classified it right alongside heroin and LSD. The government's position has been that it has no accepted medical use. This order directs agencies to move it to Schedule 3. And what's in Schedule 3? Things like Tylenol with codeine, substances that are recognized as having real, legitimate medical value. See the difference? It's massive.
And this is why it matters so much for CBD. By moving marijuana to Schedule 3, the federal government is, for the first time, officially acknowledging its therapeutic value. The order specifically opens the door to expand how CBD products are considered, and it could even kickstart discussions about Medicare coverage. This might mean you could get broader access through your doctor, because the government would finally be recognizing its use for conditions like epilepsy and chronic pain.
So you might be thinking, hey, this sounds like something everyone would support, right? Well, not exactly. It has actually kicked up a huge political firestorm. And what's really interesting is that some of the loudest opposition is coming from inside the president's own party.
So why would the president make such a controversial move? Well, his main justification really boils down to this one number right here. He's pointing to polls that show a staggering 82% of Americans are in favor of rescheduling cannabis for medical use. He's essentially framing this as him listening to the will of the people.
But that argument hasn't won over everyone in his party, not by a long shot. It's created this real internal conflict. So on one side, you've got the president saying he's just responding to public opinion and medical fact. But on the other side, you have fellow Republican lawmakers raising some serious flags about public health, road safety, and the message they think this sends to kids.
And this opposition, it's not just some quiet grumbling in the background. No way. It is organized, and it is serious. More than 20 Republican senators actually put their names on a formal letter telling the president to back off and keep marijuana exactly where it is in Schedule 1.
Okay, so let's get down to the brass tacks here. Beyond all the politics, what would this rescheduling order actually change in the real world? And maybe just as important, what would it not change?
If this goes through, it could lead to two huge wins. First, research. For decades, trying to scientifically study cannabis has been a bureaucratic nightmare. Moving it to Schedule 3 would slash through a ton of that red tape. Second, taxes. There's this tax rule called Section 280E. It was designed to punish drug traffickers, and it's been preventing legal cannabis businesses from taking normal business deductions. This change could finally get rid of that, saving the industry literally hundreds of millions of dollars.
But, and this is a really big but, it's so important to understand the limits here. This order does not legalize recreational marijuana at the federal level. It does not solve the massive problem that cannabis businesses have with just getting a normal bank account. And it does not automatically clear the criminal records of people with past marijuana convictions. All of those huge issues are still on the table.
So you can see this executive order isn't the end of the story. You know, in a lot of ways, it's really just the beginning. The path forward from here is super complex, and honestly, success is far from guaranteed.
There are basically three major hurdles ahead. First, there's the administrative follow-through. Agencies like the DEA still have to complete a formal review, and that could take a long time.
Second, you've got Congress. To solve those big problems like banking and criminal justice, you need new laws. And third, the courts. The president's authority to even do this by executive order could be challenged legally, which would throw even more uncertainty into the mix.
All of this brings us to the final big question. This order is a historic crack in the foundation of federal marijuana prohibition. There's no doubt about it. But with so many political, legal, and legislative battles still on the horizon, you just have to wonder, is this really the beginning of the end for prohibition, or is it just the end of the beginning for a whole new fight?